Well, good morning. It's good to see you. This is a really special weekend because there's a whole bunch of moms that are pretending they don't have children this weekend and are having their annual yippee getaway in Chattanooga. I'm so happy for them. I was a little afraid that every mom here might be down there and I'd only be talking to men. And I can't tell you what a bummer that would be. That would be tough. So, anyway, fun. Good to see you. I'm really excited about the things that we're starting to do this year, and our deacons and the things that are going on. I was especially excited about what Adam said on Wednesday night, that we didn't appoint deacons so they can do all the work, but so that they can help us know where we can help them and where we can be a part of that work. I don't know, for some reason, I just thought, well, that's really cool. Yes, we all need somebody to say, hey, here's a need. Can you do that? And I thought that was very cool. So we start the year off as we often do in a year and think positively. Sometimes people will ask me the question, well, what do you think what would be your greatest concern? And it wouldn't matter which church I was with. It wouldn't matter where I was. If somebody said, what would you think what would you be your greatest concern? My greatest concern would be that we would lose the love that we have for one another. And I think that's Jesus' greatest concern, Paul's greatest concern, Peter's greatest concern, and John's greatest concern, because they talked about it all the time. That was the thing that just about every church in the New Testament, and probably every church in the New Testament, struggled with. If it weren't for these writers, these inspired writers, continuing to remind them of that challenge and of that struggle. And I remind you too that love isn't just, I don't have bad feelings for someone. We can think of love so negatively at times. Well, love means not, wait a minute. Love is a very positive, active part of what we should be doing. I'm impressed, and Chip has made this point a number of times with us, but I've been impressed with what Paul said to the Thessalonians in 1 Thessalonians 4, when he said, now concerning brotherly love, you have no need for anyone to write to you, for you yourselves have been taught by God to love one another. For that indeed is what you are doing. But we urge you, brothers, do this more and more. That's what I think about then with us. I have a really great, loving congregation and church. But the first thing that we have to remember is what Paul said. Yeah, you're doing great, you understand that, but I want you to make sure you do this more and more. So there's the thing. Now, we had read for us Galatians chapter 5, and we have been dealing with and will be dealing with in our Sunday morning class on the fruit of the Spirit. And Jacob did a good job talking about love this morning and some of the aspects of that. I want to do one more lesson that leads up then to the fruit of the Spirit, and this has to do with those little in-between words, especially in verse 20 of that chapter. So here's the enemy of love. So we want to continue to love and love more and more, but what's the enemy of that? And a lot of times we don't talk much about this verse 20 here and the words that he uses there in between. Envy, especially envy, strife, jealousy, and wrath. These are the things that are the enemy of love, and it can change just like that. I've seen churches that for years and years and years just were able to get along so well, and then all of a sudden it just changes on a moment's notice. And that's what I'm always concerned about, that something can happen, someone can get upset or whatever, and things can change in a moment's notice. So let me call your attention to a few passages that should make this our greatest concern. The first is from the preacher in the book of Ecclesiastes when he said, "Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroys much good. Dead flies make the perfumer's ointment give off a stench. So a little folly outweighs wisdom and honor." It doesn't take a group. It doesn't take just some faction. It just takes one person. That's all it takes. It can just take one person. And everything can go haywire in a congregation. And that's what he says here. He says you can have all this wonderful thing, but one sinner can destroy much good. You ever seen those? It seems like they do it every Christmas. The same Chanel No. 5 perfume commercial has been going on since most of you were born. And it's just amazing. It's the same one. And it's this huge thing. And I can't imagine how much it costs. It must be thousands of dollars or something. You imagine dropping a fly in there and just leaving it? Well, now put that on and see how that smells. I don't know what Chanel No. 5 smells like, but I don't like any perfume, so I probably wouldn't like it. So there's the thing that can so easily happen to us. Paul in Titus said these words in Titus chapter 3, verse 8. He says, "The saying is trustworthy, and I want you to insist on these things, so that those who have believed in God may be careful to devote themselves to good works. These things are excellent and profitable for people, but avoid foolish controversies, genealogies, dissensions, and quarrels about the law, for they are unprofitable and worthless. As for a person who stirs up division, after warning him once and then twice, have nothing more to do with him, knowing that such a person is warped and sinful. He is self-condemned." Look carefully at the words that are used here. I click this 1, 2, 3. Well, I guess I just started here. That's okay. So notice first off, he says, "I want you to devote yourselves to these things." He uses the word foolish controversies, dissensions, quarrels, and then those who stir up division. And he gives those kinds of words that are really significant. How do we see and look at these things? What kind of person stirs up division? What kind of person in this text insists on things that are unprofitable? Insist on doing things in that way? Is it not individuals who've forgotten what it means to be humble? Forgotten that the Scriptures tell us to submit to one another in the reverence and fear of God? Or those who are not valuing one another more important than ourselves. That's the only way those things can happen, is we begin to think of ourselves more important than others. When we start looking at those things, we're no longer submitting ourselves to one another. Now we're thinking that everybody needs to submit to me and what I think and what my opinions are. And then you think about, well, what causes this foolish controversy? It isn't just insist on their way, insist that my way is best. You know what?